So Elizabeth Warren has decided to go after Bernie Sanders because he said, completely truthfully, that a woman couldn't be president. What? Are you people out of your fucking mind? Are you out of your fucking mind? A woman couldn't be president? Well, guess what, Elizabeth Warren, you dumb piece of trash. Like, you just proved the case. It's because you're a coward. Not because you're a woman, it's because you're a coward. See, there's this idea of, like, the ideal minority, so on and so forth, or the perfect victim, which is a system of class evaluation and systemic and societal evaluation and consideration that inherently creates a system of connection and association with a particular group or category. Like, Asian people are good at math, and people who fall into this particular category, or like Joy Reid, for instance, a horrible human being who uses her blackness as a mechanism for selling the audience a particular form of ideology, because black people kind of trust each other. And so you see Joy Reid and you think, oh, she's a trustworthy person. Now, Joy Reid is hella aware of this. And so, same thing with Bacardi sellers. These are people who use their blackness or their black identity as a mechanism to force corporate and capitalistic bullshit down the viewers, throat. Because that's kind of who they are. That's who they are as people. And real quick, MLK even talked about this. He said, like, to Harry Belafonte, he literally said, one of my biggest fears is that I integrated my people into a burning house. And what he was actually saying, what he actually meant was that at the end of the day, capitalism by its inherent nature eats its own. You know what I mean? It's a cannibalistic system where it's like, hey, you better get yours because I'm going to get mine. You don't get yours. I'm going to take yours to get more of mine. And that's the mentality and that's the idea. And black people, before, the social integration or the racial integration occurred, were actually protected from a lot of that cannibalization. You know what I mean? Like, if you were a famous, actor or singer, you still had to go to the black community. You know what I mean? If you were black and rich, you go to black community. So all that money from even wealthy black people still made it into the black community itself. So all black people ended up pooling their money. So economically, black people had a level of cushion against the capitalist and cannibalistic system of capitalism. But in integration, what you could do is you could now take black people who were like famous sports stars, singers, whatever, and take them out of the black community and then put them in these, high rises, wherever they wanted to live. And it left the black community itself destitute within this economic situation. And he also knew that in the capitalist system, what you're going to do is get black people who are willing to cannibalize their own, who are going to get themselves in a particular position and then use the identity of black people themselves as a mechanism to sell capitalism back to the poor and suffering black population within America itself. That's who Bacardi Sellers is, and Joy Reid 1 billion fucking percent. God damn, I'm good. But Elizabeth Warren, anyways, so Elizabeth Warren has decided the most moronic form of attack, or isn't even attack. She is literally put forth the idea that women are weak and spineless and cannot stand up to any form of freaking criticism. And this is why this is such a problem, because there's two types of people who think this. Women are weak, you know what I mean? Or women need to be protected. People, even to my ilk a little bit, like, society's kind of messed up. There's a ton of sexism here, and women should be given certain advantages and certain aids and certain helps to help create a better system and better society. Totally believe that. But in that ilk, there are people who have an identity of all women are victims, all women need to be protected, all women are suffering. Like Hillary Clinton, she's a millionaire. She literally created a war in Libya that ended up getting women and children sold into slavery, and she's a victim. Like, what about her as a victim? Like, people talk about her? Oh, I'm sorry, that's horrible. Well, she murdered people. Tons of people. Tons and tons of people. So this whole victim mentality that women are victims isn't beneficial. This is why it's not beneficial. And I'll show a contrast between strong women and Elizabeth Warren. And strong women are AOC, Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib, Ayanna Pressley. These are women with conviction, with comprehension, with understanding. Women who do not bow to this system or the narrative. And so what Elizabeth Warren has chosen to do is to submit herself to this narrative that women are victims or women don't have power. And that's what she's pretty much doing. When she says that Bernie Sanders said women can't win, what she is saying is Bernie Sanders is mean, protect me from him. That's what she's saying. That's the very identity of it. And it's an identity of inherent weakness. See, AOC didn't complain. AOC knocked on them doors. She was outspent 10-1. And you want to know why she won? You want to know why people adore her? Because she's honest. She has integrity. And she doesn't take anybody's shit. You know what I mean? Elizabeth Warren doesn't even have the capacity, the functional understanding necessary to stand up to somebody, to stand up with integrity. And this is the problem. If you're going to take on Donald Trump, unequivocally, the one thing you need above everything is the capacity to take on a bully face to face. This is why Hillary Clinton lost. One of the major reasons she lost. She spent all the primary calling Bernie Sanders a sexist. Like, anytime Bernie says, you're a sexist, and Bernie would just back up. You're a sexist, Bernie would back up. And because Bernie's a nice dude, he backed off. And Hillary Clinton, being the useless idiot that she is, thought that she won. She won. The problem is, Donald Trump is an actual sexist, and he doesn't care. If you don't understand how to engage with an actual sexist, and you instead attack Bernie Sanders for being a sexist, your comprehension of what a sexist will do, can do, and how they can attack you is going to be moronic, useless, and stupid. So when you actually go up against a real sexist like Donald Trump, you know what's going to happen? He is going to play so dirty and attack you so hard, you're not even going to know what to do. And to say, like, I'm a woman, you can't say that, is not going to work. And that's why Elizabeth Warren is a horrible candidate and a very stupid person. Because right now, this has destroyed her chances of being president, flat out. Because because if Bernie Sanders happens to lose now, after Elizabeth Warren created this attack, there are so many of his supporters who will blame her specifically. So even if she gets the nomination, throughout this entire primary, the thing that's going to circulate through the Bernie Sanders camp is that Elizabeth Warren decided to call Bernie Sanders a sexist and destroy his chances of becoming president. And now Warren has no support from Bernie Sanders supporters. Like, there is a large coalition of Bernie Sanders supporters who will not forgive this. If Bernie loses, we'll never forgive this. So this useless piece of garbage has divided the progressive movement. Because I was fine with Elizabeth Warren before. Really was hoping Bernie Sanders is going to win the presidency. Elizabeth Warren is going to be the the majority leader of the Senate. And she's just destroyed all the goodwill and has put the progressive movement itself in total unequivocal chaos because she's such a useless, pathetic moron that she couldn't just be a fucking decent person with integrity and consistency and morality. She had to take the sexist trope that women are weak and need to be protected and use that as a mechanism to try to make up for her failures as a fucking presidential campaigner. It's pathetic. And now we're in a worse situation than ever because she's such a damn idiot that she's too stupid to be able to see beyond any conclusion that she already came to. She thinks that the way you change the world, because she's an idiot, is to talk to the people in power, even though the people in power are the very people who have destroyed the world thus far. Bernie Sanders is like, no, we need to see beyond this current system and see and look into the future of humanity to find new ways to change and evolve our entire world, our entire society, because what we need to do to fight this oncoming apocalypse, what the climate change really is we need a new mentality, a new mindset that includes everyone and it brings new ideas and new capacity and new power to the forefront. Elizabeth Warren doesn't want any of that. And she's not smart enough, nor does she have the integrity necessary or the strength of character to do what needs to be done. And strength of character is unequivocally needed in this time because you're going to have pressure from the military-industrial complex, pharmaceutical industry, oil and gas. You are going to have so much pressure that strength of character is needed and necessary on day one. You can't have any corrupt corporate people around you. You need to stack your house and your White House staff with people with unequivocal, unquestioning integrity. And that's the only way anything is going to change in Washington. And Elizabeth Warren just is not smart enough to do it. And I mean this in, like, I'm not saying she's not intelligent. Well, what I mean is she doesn't have the intelligence required to understand the world outside of her personal experience with it. You know what I mean? Like, she really doesn't comprehend the reality of climate change or the reality of what poor people are dealing with or the inherent corruption of Washington, because she's around the inherent corruption of Washington. You know what I mean? It's like living in a house all your life and you don't understand your house is different than 99% of everyone else's house. You know what I mean? Her life and her existence is like 1,000% different than 99% of every other American, but she thinks of her life as normal, and that's because, and because she thinks of her life as normal, she doesn't actually comprehend how abnormal it is and how completely out of touch and fucking frankly stupid she is. Because this attack on Bernie Sanders has divided the progressive fucking base entirely, and it is really just solidified people behind Sanders. But this is a problem because Warren and Sanders being a team would have helped both of them politically and would have helped the country entirely. But now Elizabeth Warren wanted to bring up the 2016 attack of calling Bernie Sanders a sexist, and it shows what a pathetic, cowardly, vile person she is, and that she doesn't have an ounce of integrity or fucking morals. It's fucking goddamn pathetic, and it's horrible. And I wanted her to win in 2016, but she did not have integrity. She didn't have morals in 2016. She didn't have the fucking strength of character to stand up to fight for something real. And so now in 2020, after she skipped the chance of 2016, now she's coming out and saying, Bernie told her to run in 2016. Because she didn't, he did. And now it's 2020, and she's like, Bernie doesn't think a woman should become president. You're pathetic. You're fucking goddamn pathetic. Fucking coward. Anyways, that's my thoughts.